So there you have it. Maybe no big surprise that Salzburg, who had to change their coach in December, who aren't going particularly well domestically, come to the home of the champions and they're spanked. There were other stories, and I think they're interesting ones. Let's start with Carlo Ancelotti. Often in the last few seasons, I've been here watching him really closely, because part of my duties are to try and describe what's seen out with the television cameras. And so you watch the coach and you watch what he's trying to communicate, not just describe his gesticulations. If you're any good at your job, if you're experienced, if you've been around for a long time, you should be able to understand what he's trying to communicate. And what happens a lot is you see this. You see him all the time on the touchline here, pointing that way. My left looks right on your screen. Saying to his players, get the ball to Vinicius, get the ball to Vinicius more regularly, with better spin on it and quicker. It's something that repeatedly agitates him. So for about 60, 90 seconds ahead of Vinicius' first goal tonight, of two, he became player of the match. Ancelotti was pointing like a scarecrow, like a football scarecrow. Get it down to Vinicius, get it down to Vinicius. So when Modric did release Vinicius and the Brazilian kind of left the right back of Salzburg in his dust and scored beautifully, what was fascinating and to my taste really enjoyable to watch was Ancelotti didn't celebrate, although afterwards he described the quality of Vinicius' goal and his finishing and praised him. He didn't celebrate him. He jumped up and down in what I would think was fury. He was leaping up and down, and first of all, he was saying to his players, that's what I'm talking about. Give him the fucking ball, give him the ball. And then when the rest of the Bernabéu is going mad and the players are flocking around Vinicius, Ancelotti is turning to his bench where his son is his assistant, and there are a number of other guys who he trusts absolutely and with whom he's worked for many years, including at Everton. And he's saying to them, look, this is what happens if they would only listen to me and give it to him more. So it wasn't fury and rage, but it was him boiling with, why don't they listen? Anyway, the goal was really, really good. Vinicius added another one on a night of beautiful goals. Go and look for Bellingham's assist for Rodrigo's second, which was just this no-look back heel as if, The goal really stunned me was the fifth, because Salzburg are trying to press Courtois, as Mbappe had indeed pressed the Salzburg German goalkeeper and robbed him of the ball and scored easily earlier on in the game. But they can't quite do it. Courtois is practically on his own goal line. Modric is about 5 yards away. Courtois feeds him. Modric gets the ball out wide, and it goes through a series of passes through Brahim and Arda and Valverde and Vinicius. And for about the third time in the match, and probably for the third time in the match they do it and they score, they go from literally their own goal mouth to the Salzburg goal mouth in, I think the spread was in 14, 17 and 20 seconds. Now, I don't know if those periods of time sound to you to be long, short, in between, but let me tell you, in football terms, they're a blitzkrieg. That's lightning, it's a hurricane. So hard to defend against and so hard to get right. Well, if any of you are big interview listeners, I think you'll remember, I'm pretty sure it was Damien Duff, I said to him, look, I consider myself reasonably football articulate with lots of experience, but sometimes the way that expressions change confuse me. What are transitions? Now, given that I've spent years understanding his explanation, that really sounds infantile, doesn't it? Like nursery school stuff. But transitions are about how you reassemble yourself from an attacking mode into a defensive mode and don't let the other team take your pants down, and vice versa. How do you handle the transitions, the stages from robbing the ball, say particularly deep in your own half, deep in your own penalty area, and then going all the way to the other end? What are you thinking about? How are the pieces coordinated and moving together? how instinctively, how fluidly, that's the word, how fluidly and quickly can you do it? For many years, while they've been repeatedly winning the Champions League, clearly under Zidane and Ancelotti, when they had Cristiano Ronaldo still at his peak with Benzema and the brilliance, the brains, but even more, well, at least as much, once Benzema and Cristiano left, with the way in which Vinicius and Rodrigo, previously with Toni Kroos, Modric, now with Bellingham and Rodrigo, the Real Madrid defended Salzburg with nobody in 2 or 3 occasions outside their own penalty area. Nobody left upfield. And yet, if Madrid gathered the ball, as they did for Courtois, for what I think was the 4th goal, when Mbappe was immediately saying to him, get it out wide, and we'll build. If Madrid are facing a defensive corner, the instant they win the ball, in whatever way, either Courtois clutches it, or it's a punch, or a defender has it in order to clear, they're almost as likely to score directly from that move as if they pick the ball up halfway or 3/4 of the way up the pitch. I think that's extraordinary. I think that's a testament to brilliant teamwork, brilliant organisation. Automatismos, the word that keeps coming up in these broadcasts, which tonight are obviously brought to you by Bumper Graham in the Bernabéu, had to be said. Real Madrid, the team that Aberdeen beat to win their first European start. That's who this broadcast is brought to you this time by. But in all the times that I've been talking about football, what I tried to get across is my love for automatismos in Spain, whereby the right thing is done repeatedly without thinking or looking, because it's so well practiced and so well trained. That's what we saw tonight, on a night when the subject of our ZoomSport documentary, Luis Lucho Enrique Martínez, led his side to a big 4-2 win over Paris Saint-Germain. I won't be so rude as to say I wish I was there, but I really adore Luis Enrique. Mark Guillen, Duncan McMath, Victor Gross, and I put so much time into filming for 18 months with Luis Enrique that I'm genuinely thrilled that Paris Saint-Germain won, and won in that style. But I probably wouldn't have swapped being at Parc des Princes for being here, because even if you think Real Madrid 5, RB Salzburg 1 is a run-of-the-mill result, this was not a run-of-the-mill performance. In my view, the European champions, slowly and not without flaw, are on the rise.